In November of 1985, Elizabeth Ratliff, a quiet, intelligent woman teaching near an American military base in Germany, was found dead at the bottom of the staircase in her home. The initial conclusion was simple, tragically mundane: a fatal intracranial hemorrhage caused by a known bleeding disorder, a slip, a fall, a life ended too soon. No one saw it happen. There were no witnesses, no signs of struggle. The Ratliff daughters, still young, were left to navigate the incomprehensible void of losing their mother in what seemed like a cruel accident. Michael Peterson, a friend of the family, had been the last adult to see Elizabeth alive. He was married to his first wife, Patricia, and later became the legal guardian to Elizabeth's children. At the time, no one suspected that the pattern of tragedy that began with Elizabeth Ratliff would follow him across continents and decades. Fast forward to December 2001 in Durham, North Carolina. Michael Peterson was now living in a large, quiet house with his second wife, Kathleen. They were part of a socially prominent world, well known and respected, until that night turned ordinary life into the center of a nightmare. Kathleen was discovered at the bottom of the staircase, her body bleeding, head lacerated, neck fractured.
Durham 911, where's your emergency?
Peter Street, please.
What's wrong?
My wife had an accident. She's still breathing.
What kind of accident?
Still downstairs. She's still breathing. Please
Is
come.
she conscious?
What?
Is she conscious?
No, she's not conscious.
Okay.
Please.
How many stairs did you fall down?
Huh?
How many stairs?
Stairs.
How many stairs? Calm down, sir. Calm down.
No, 15, 20, I don't know. Please, get somebody here right away. Please.
Okay, somebody's dispatching the ambulance while I ask you questions.
It's in Forest Hills, okay? Please, please.
Sir, somebody else is dispatching the ambulance. Okay, is she awake now? Hello?
Responders arrived to a scene that was at once familiar and eerily reminiscent of the German tragedy 16 years earlier. The similarities between the two deaths were impossible to ignore. Women associated with Michael Peterson, both found lifeless at the base of a staircase, both bearing head trauma. The shadows of suspicion began to gather, long before the first pieces of evidence were fully examined. Autopsies and forensic experts began to dissect the bodies, the injuries, the seemingly mundane circumstances of each fall. Elizabeth Ratliff's initial autopsy had suggested a natural death, a hemorrhage exacerbated by her bleeding disorder, the lacerations on her head dismissed as incidental. Yet, when her body was exhumed almost 2 decades later, the findings were rewritten: multiple lacerations, a linear fracture beneath one, and evidence inconsistent with a mere stumble down the stairs suggested something far more sinister than originally thought. The same pattern: multiple scalp lacerations, head trauma, injuries incongruous with a simple fall, now appeared in the death of Kathleen Peterson. In her case, the injuries were stark: 7 distinct lacerations to the head, a fractured cartilage in the neck, significant blood loss. The staircase became a stage where the brutal narrative unfolded, and yet no one had seen what actually happened. The house, the stairs, the quiet rooms, they all seemed to hold their secrets tightly. Investigators and experts examined every detail. The staircase in Durham was narrow and enclosed. A fall might create scalp lacerations, the defense argued, especially with alcohol and medication in her system. The prosecution insisted the injuries told a different story: multiple blows from a blunt object, staged to look like an accident. Blood patterns, splatter on walls, traces on Michael's clothing, injuries inconsistent with a simple tumble, all weighed heavily in court. The echo of Germany's Ratliff case loomed over the trial. A woman found at the bottom of the stairs, a man intimately connected, and a death that only years later would be questioned. It became a pattern, a narrative thread that prosecutors used to argue not coincidence but method, rehearsal, a sinister motif repeating itself. Yet, the defense fought back with simulations, recreations, and expert testimony that challenged the notion of intentional assault. The staircase could indeed be deadly under certain conditions. Intoxication, medications, the geometry of the steps, these factors, they argued, could produce the injuries seen. The second autopsy of Elizabeth Ratliff was heavily criticized. The original German investigation cited, and every piece of evidence scrutinized for bias and interpretation. Jurors were left to navigate a thicket of pathologies, expert disagreements, and the unnerving symmetry of two women's deaths. How could they know what truly happened when both staircases were silent, when the only voice was that of a man with access to both scenes? The trial was long, public, and haunting. Images of Kathleen's body, the staircase, and blood patterns were juxtaposed with recollections of Elizabeth's death. The story was told in the courtroom and replayed endlessly in the media. The Hart was a man whose life seemed entwined with tragedy. Two women lost at the bottom of stairs, one in Germany, one in North Carolina, separated by years but connected by the same figure. In 2003, Michael Peterson was convicted of first-degree murder, sentenced to life without parole. The conviction would later be vacated due to concerns about the reliability of blood spatter evidence, and he would eventually enter an offered plea to voluntary manslaughter, released from prison while still not admitting guilt. Yet the questions lingered, unresolved and uncomfortable. What makes this case grip the imagination is the interplay of coincidence and suggestion, accident and intention. Elizabeth Ratliff, a woman whose death might have been entirely natural, casts a long shadow across time and space, reshaping the perception of Kathleen Peterson's demise. Both women fell in environments where the physics of a fall could plausibly produce injury, yet the details of their trauma invite suspicion. The staircases, once mundane architectural features, became silent witnesses to a narrative that defies simple resolution: blood, hair, fractures, lacerations. These physical traces became the language in which the story of possibility, doubt, and fear was told. For readers and observers, the case of Michael Peterson is both a forensic puzzle and a human drama. It explores how patterns, coincidence, and human interpretation intertwine. How does one separate accident from intent when the evidence is ambiguous? How much weight should be given to past tragedies, and how much to the possibility of error, misjudgment, and misinterpretation? The deaths of Elizabeth Ratliff and Kathleen Peterson, the staircases, the injuries, the disputed forensic reports, all converge into a story that continues to captivate, haunt, and provoke debate. It is a narrative without closure, a true crime that thrives on the questions it raises rather than the answers it provides. In the quiet of the Peterson house, the staircases remain. Do Michael Peterson's children believe he is innocent? While they all initially believed he was innocent, Kathleen's biological daughter, Caitlin Atwater, changed her mind after reading her mother's autopsy report. She filed a wrongful death claim against Michael Peterson in October 2002. After attempting to declare bankruptcy, to which Caitlin filed an objection, Peterson settled the wrongful death suit in February 2007 for $25 million. Kathleen, S sister, Candace Zamparini, changed her mind about his innocence after learning of his bisexuality. More recently, Michael Peterson's son, Todd Peterson, released a video in December 2021 in which he states that he changed his mind about his father's innocence. Todd says that his father is not only responsible for Kathleen Peterson and Elizabeth Ratliff's deaths, he is also responsible for the death of Patricia Peterson, Todd's mother, and his father's first wife, who passed away in July 2021 after suffering a massive heart attack. Though they had divorced decades ago, Michael and Patricia had been living together in an apartment for the 2 years up until her death. Patricia was known for being supportive of Michael and believing he was innocent. Todd says that his father saw that Patricia was having a heart attack and waited 3 hours without calling for an ambulance. Todd dialed 911 within minutes of arriving on the scene. "My mom would be alive today if it weren't for my father," he said. He claims that his father killed his mother for financial reasons, as he had done with Kathleen.
I'm literally about to have the worst experience of my entire life. I'm about to call the cops on my father for the murder of my mother, Patricia Peterson. I now today realized that the motivation was money, just like I now believe Kathleen. I didn't really realize it all until I tried to break my sobriety a couple weeks ago. My own father tried to break my sobriety. That's actually how I figured out he's a serial killer. Until